Good morning. I'm Rowena Crosby.
And I'm Deborah Renner, and we're your co-hosts for this show. Thank you for joining us for the next 17 minutes for Your Invisible Toolbox, the show sponsored by Tero International that focuses on the book that Row and I co-authored, and each week we look at a tool for working more effectively with others.
And here's a fun one to think about this morning. Imagine you're given the gift of $86,400 each and every morning. Somebody puts it in an envelope and slips it under your door. It's exciting to think about, but there's a condition on the money. You have to use it that day. If you don't spend it or invest it, it goes away. It cannot be accumulated.
Well, and probably after the first couple days, we would think of a way to use it wisely in a way that would impact our future.
And we're not given that gift, $86,400 every day, but we are given actually a very similar gift. It's 86,400 seconds. We're given that every single day, and the same condition applies. If you don't use it that day, it's gone at the end of the day. It can't be accumulated.
And we often don't think of those seconds as a gift, nor do we treat it as a gift, where one that we would make sure it's invested, so it would be a gift that would keep on giving. So why would we be respectful of that with regards to dollars, but we're not so much with regards to seconds, and yet those seconds are going to determine what goals we're able to achieve in life.
Absolutely, and that is the focus of our show today. As John Kennedy famously said, efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction.
And today we're going to examine time, goals, achievement, and human nature. And if it were $86,400, we'd come up with a plan to make the most of it to lead towards some financial goals. And today we're going to explore how we can take those seconds and lead toward the goals we want to achieve personally or at work.
And in our Invisible Tool segment, we're going to take a look at some common mistakes that we make in goal setting. And in our development challenge, we're going to look at some of the things that get in the way of us achieving our goals.
And we've added an inspiration segment. We're going to take a look at 5 tips you can implement to reach the goal of having better business relationships. And we also have a segment before we close where we're going to share some final thoughts. This is a really fun segment.
This is really pretty hilarious.
On the ways that people can waste time at work and how that can influence not only their goals but the organization's goals.
Absolutely. So if you're following along in the book, Your Invisible Toolbox, we're on page 204. It's chapter 85. If you don't have your own personal copy of the book, we encourage you to scroll down, click on the link, and you can order it there. So let's get started.
Life isn't the same for everyone, and there's disparity in terms of resources that people have. Some people are going to have more money, some are going to have more creativity, some are going to have more energy, some might have more technical ability.
And that's true for individuals, and it's also true for organizations. If you think about an established organization, they may have access to more capital, whereas a startup might harbor more creativity. And individuals and organizations alike, there is one great equalizer.
There is, and it is time. No matter how talented, how energetic, how rich, or how poor we are, we each get the same amount of time every single day. And no matter if our organization is well known or we're just new to the business landscape, all organizations get the same amount of time.
And the way we spend that time is not just a reflection of how we achieve our goals, it's also a reflection of our needs and our values. We vote for what's important, and we vote with our time.
And oftentimes on our vote, we miss the opportunity to actually do things that are going to achieve our goals, and we can spend our day putting out fires, not being proactive on issues except if they're in crisis mode.
And when we do that, then we tend to be pretty stressed, and then we engage in time-wasting activities that may feel relaxing in the moment, but then later on we're frustrated with ourselves that we've perceived that we've wasted time.
So no matter if it's you or it's who you lead, there is one rule, the first rule in setting and achieving goals, and that is that you have to think of your organization or yourself, your existence depending on it. And that comes from an article on goal setting by David Peck in the Huffington Post. It was published in 2018.
And he really tells us that setting those goals really allows for us to focus ourselves, focus our departments, and focus our organizations. And that will help us drive how we spend our time and our resources.
It will. And if goals are that important, what are some considerations in setting them, and can we make some mistakes in how we set them?
Well, let's find out by examining your Invisible Tool of the Week. Your Invisible Tool this week is found in Chapter 85. The chapter is called $86,400 each and every day. and the tool itself is to set goals.
Well, there is a characteristic of successful, high-performing people, and that is that they do set goals. They are interested in those end results. And if we think about it, there are some common mistakes in how we set goals that actually can prevent us from ever reaching them. That's what we're going to take a look at, because we can't use our invisible tool unless we know what the mistakes might be.
Yeah, so the first mistake is that the goals actually have to be our own. In the same way we can't change other people can't set goals for us. We need to set them for ourselves, and so many times we allow our spouses, family members, friends, employers to do the goal setting for us. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, my goals at work are set by someone else, and certainly that makes sense because the goals generally cascade in the organization. But it's our responsibility to figure out how we're accountable for the portion of the goal that belongs to us and make it our own.
So true. Secondly, it's not enough just to set a goal to a destination. We've got to set a goal through it. So, great example, Olympic athletes.
Yes.
They might set the goal in all of their practice, all of their life up to the point that they're in the Olympics to just get there. But then they've got to set the goal of actually earning the medal, not just getting there, and then they're at that experience and they're not going through that goal.
That's so true. And for the non-Olympic athletes in the audience, I know that applies to us, this actually does relate. We see so many examples of this. So here's a couple. A lot of people set a goal to get a job, but when they don't set the follow-up goal to succeed in the job, they fail to perform at the level that they're able to. How many times have you heard someone set the goal to retire, but if they don't set the post-retirement goals, often they find themselves incredibly bored after they achieve the goal of retirement? Or even something as simple as at the end of the day, we set the goal to get home. We all have that at the end of the day. If we don't set a goal for the evening, we can just plop ourselves down in that chair, and we don't even have the drive and creative energy to get out of the chair.
That's so true. Thirdly, it's important to remember that we set goals in all areas of our life, and we've got to take a look to make sure our goals aren't conflicting with each other. So if we have a goal of devoting ourselves to our career and it involves a lot of travel, at the same time we have a goal of spending more quality and quantity time with our family. At the same time we have a goal of maybe learning a new skill or having a new hobby. Those goals all together at once, we're probably not going to achieve any of them. And so we've got to make sure that our goals don't conflict with each other, and that means making choices about what is most important at any given time.
Yeah, because they're all fine goals, but they can't coexist. So if you're going to be successful with our invisible tool of setting goals, you'll want to avoid those 3 common mistakes. Make sure the goals don't conflict. Make sure you set the goals through and not just up to. And finally, own those goals, be accountable.
Well, and what happens when we find we don't fulfill the goals that we have set? Is it the goal or is it our behavior? Well, let's take a look at this week's development challenge to find out.
So it is time for your development challenge of the week. Do you ever resolve to make changes in your life and find that you get frustrated when you don't achieve them?
Well, the problem is rarely the goal that we set, no matter how ambitious it is. It's usually in our behavior that we don't make the changes that would allow us to achieve that goal.
So we're going to present to you 3 steps. We invite you to think of a specific goal you have in mind. So it might be a goal to get better organized. Maybe it's a personal goal to spend more time with family. Maybe it's a fitness or an exercise goal, possibly a project goal. Doesn't matter what the goal is. Get one in mind and follow these 3 steps this week.
So number 1, list your top goals and priorities.
And step 2, do a self-audit. Now this is going to feel like it's time wasting, but it's going to give you some terrific data. Keep a time log. Live your life in 15-minute increments for 24 to 48 hours so you get a realistic picture of how you're spending your time. We lie to ourselves. We do. Human nature, it really has a funny way of looking at time. If we love something we're doing, time just flies. And if we don't like something, it seems to drag. So to get a realistic look at how you're actually spending your time, keep a time log. And if you'd like to have access to the one that we use at Tero when we're working with coaching clients, send us an email at ideas@yourinvisibletoobox.com, and in the subject line, just type time log and we will email you that time log.
It's so revealing to look at those time logs. We've all done them. It's just fascinating to see what we're actually involved in, and that helps us do step 3, which is compare your goals with your reality. So you're looking at that time log, you can actually see, are my goals matching up to what I'm doing? And you can take a look at who you're talking to, what you're involved in any particular week, and then evaluate it. Are the things you're doing actually going to support and lead you towards achieving that goal, or are they getting in the way of it? And then you can make a personal action plan to figure out what you need to change in order to reach that goal. Well, now it's time to inspire. Do you have a goal of having better business relationships? Setting a goal and achieving it requires that we do some different actions, maybe change some behaviors. We're going to share with you 5 simple things you can start to implement today that will help support you achieving the goal of being the best you can be interpersonally in those business relationships.
So as you hear these 5 ideas, you'll probably resonate with one or more of them, so we encourage you to take some notes. The first is to go out of your way to start introducing people to other people. It turns out that by enriching other people's networks, we actually can enrich our own. So make it a goal to introduce 5 people each week.
And in your relationships, it's very important to be able to share things about yourself. So reflect on what would be interesting for people to know about you. Think about this ahead of time before you're in those conversations, because a good relationship involves not only that we find out about the other, but we share appropriately about ourselves.
And our third idea is such a simple courtesy, we can implement it immediately. When you call someone on the phone and you get them live, don't assume because you got them that they have the time for you. It's really simple to just start the conversation instead of launching in to say, did I catch you at a time that you can talk for a few minutes, or would another time be better? That's really going to position you as someone who cares about other people and relationships.
Such a courtesy when people do that. This one's hard to do, but it's important to do. When you're listening to people, try to listen without passing judgment in your mind or thinking about what you're going to respond with. Suspending personal biases while we're listening and really trying to understand someone as we're listening to them, people can feel that.
They really
can. It's a different kind of conversation.
Absolutely. And our final idea speaks to the people that you know. Now, the people you see every day, those are important people, and you can maintain those relationships because you see them frequently. But what about the people you only see once or twice a year? Keep those people top of mind as well. They're also important. You might think about putting a stack of nice stationery on your desk, and when you think of them, jot them a personal note, maybe send them an email, stay in touch by phone. But by keeping those relationships healthy, you really are improving your business relationships.
Yeah, and you know, it's expedient to send an email, but when you get one of those handwritten notes, it means so much. It's like a gift.
And it's so rare these days that they do tend to stand out.
Well, now it's time to look at our top social media posts of the week.
And those of you that follow Tero on social media already know that we post useful links and content several times every day. We're going to feature 2 of those posts right now.
Well, our first post is a very brief TED Talk. It's only 2 minutes. It's had over 4 million viewers. And Derek Sivers questions the notion of talking about our goals. And he actually shares research that says we may be less likely to achieve our goals if we talk about them. And if we are going to talk about them, he tells us how to. Apparently, when we talk about them, it can simulate in our bodies that we've achieved it. And so then we don't go through whatever we need to go through to actually achieve it. We just think we have.
That might be an aha for a lot of us. I wonder if that's my exercise program problem.
Check this one out on all Tero social media platforms today.
And our second featured post is an article in the Harvard Business Review. It'll be particularly appealing to those of you that are entrusted with the development of others. And author Amy Gallo shows how setting goals can be used as a tool to develop others. She shares in this article a process as well as a number of case studies. You'll find that on all Tero social media platforms on Wednesday.
And those case studies in that article are really interesting. They're fascinating, and they're just great to think about because we can apply those.
Absolutely.
Our final thought has to do with wasting the precious 86,400 seconds we get every day, and it is so much easier to waste it than we think it is. And then we also have something very important to ask you.
So we're going to start with the whole time wasting thing. In a Forbes article titled "Wasting Time at Work, the Epidemic Continues," author Cheryl O'Connor cites some fascinating and startling statistics from salary.com.
They surveyed 750 employees. 89% of them admitted to wasting time at work.
So how much time were they wasting? Well, almost a third of them admitted to wasting about a half hour a day.
There was another third that admitted to wasting an hour a day.
16% confessed to wasting 2 hours a day.
6% wasted 3 hours a day.
And 4 hours a day, 2% admitted to that.
And another 2% admitted to wasting 5 hours. So those last two, if you combine them, 4% of the respondents actually said they wasted, on the average, half of the business day.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
And those are fascinating statistics, but what was even more funny and somewhat humorous, so you may get a kick out of this on your Monday morning, were how creative people are when they're wasting time. So here's what the report said. One married employee was caught looking at the dating website, and he denied that he was doing that while the dating website was still up on his computer. Another employee was found caring for her pet bird that she had smuggled into the office. That's hilarious. Another employee was found shaving her legs in the women's restroom. Another one, this cracks me up, was laying under boxes to scare people at work. A couple of employees were engaged in a wrestling match instead of working. One employee who was caught sleeping actually claimed that he was praying. I guess praying and meditating could look a little like sleeping, so that's a good way to get creative. And finally, an employee was found warming up her bare feet under the hair dryer or the hand dryer in the women's restroom.
These are things they admitted to.
This is things they admitted to. They're very creative.
Those are crazy. But 24% of the people surveyed, this is the thing that trumps everything, using personal technology. They said they waste at least an hour a day on personal texts, personal phone calls, and emails.
Yeah, so our final thought is that your goals do deserve to be met, and we need to follow through with actions in that regard.
And we'd like to take a minute and share a personal goal of ours and ask for your help with it. We have appreciated so much the wonderful response to your Invisible Toolbox, and one of our goals is to get this book and these tools into the hands of as many people as possible. So if you have read it, if you go out to Amazon.com and place a public review of it, we would so appreciate that. We know to achieve that goal of getting it out to people, we've got to be able to have reviews out there. So we thank you in advance for helping us with our goal.
We really do care about those testimonials when we go out online, so thank you. And thank you for joining us today. If you missed any portion of the program or want to share it with others, you'll find the entire program on Tero's YouTube channel. Tune in again next Monday morning at 9:03, where we will look at another tool in your Invisible Toolbox.
And now it's your turn. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. You can email your ideas to ideas@yourinvisiblettoolbox.com. Find us on your favorite social media platform, and if you haven't subscribed to Tero's YouTube channel, scroll down to the link below, subscribe, and you'll be alerted to when future shows are going to air. A thank you to Rachel Trainham, our camera person today, and to Kyle Plummer, who is our director.
And thanks to you for joining us. And that's a wrap.